I'm here talking with Nolan Simon at Green Gallery in Milwaukee. And Nolan was formerly based in New York, now he's in Detroit, and showing a new body of work in an exhibition called Impressions. You were working with were images that came from the internet. You just kind of found images, right? The sort of ephemera from the online world. And then you recreate this in painting.
The image on the left is a photograph that I took with a friend of mine. And part of the structure of doing this kind of stuff was to try to acknowledge that images are kind of constantly shifting and constantly in relationship to one another. I found myself to surprisingly more of a formalist than I would have ever expected. So
oh, really?
Lots of little visual relationships that develop.
But also there seems to be this kind of interesting play between artificiality and objectivity. Why paint them? Why not do photographs or some other medium?
That's because I think the process of actually making something adds information. But I think that there's something about investing a certain amount of time and developing a skill. Mm-hmm. And the other thing actually is that there's this sense that floats around that the internet is this kind of dehistoricized space. Things are constantly being reshuffled.
Yeah.
And painting is something that has a very specific historic depth to it. Every time somebody makes a painting, you're making a painting on top of a few thousand years of painting. This image I painted here on site over the course of the last 7 days. The image is a friend's engagement portrait. It has this quality that I really I liked. At first it was sort of just the rawness of a joke of repeating this image that has this very specific duration. Like an engagement photo I feel like has a beginning and an end. Over time, the more I looked at it, the more I realized that actually these sorts of photos are structured based on certain painting traditions, And in the end, I think all of that stuff starts to subside and become much more about this kind of place where it doesn't really matter how sincere it is or insincere it is. And I think that that's part of the work that painting is, that it's a way to invest any sort of image with a certain amount of weight. Painting is something that people look at with a certain amount of depth. That internet images are kind of quick, but paintings are something that you sit and you can stare at.